public debt development. Right Honorable Speaker, our commitment to fiscal discipline through prudent debt management and exchange rate appreciation has resulted in a significant improvement in Ghana's debt profile. Public debt reduced from 726.7 billion as at end December 2024 to 613 billion as at end June 2025. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's public debt reduced by 113.7 billion Ghana cedis in 6 months. Mr. Speaker, for the first time in Ghana's history, there is a negative 15.6% rate of debt accumulation. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana's public debt to GDP ratio as at end June 2025 was 43.8% from the 61.8% of end December 2024. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's public debt as a percentage of GDP reduced by 18% of GDP in the last 6 months. Ghana's foreign debt as a percentage of total public debt declined from 57.4% as at end December 2024 to 49% by end June 2025. Mr. Speaker, this has significantly improved Ghana's debt sustainability. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to update on debt restructuring. Update on debt restructuring. Right Honorable Speaker, government remains committed to restructuring our bilateral and commercial debt under the G20 Common Framework. On the 24th of June 2025, the House approved an indicative terms of the Memorandum of Understanding between Ghana and Official Creditors Committee. On behalf of His Excellency the President, I wish to thank this House for swift action which has enabled Ghana to begin negotiation for the signing of bilateral agreement with each of the creditor countries. We are ready to sign the agreement with 2 countries as at tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, it is expected that 4 agreements will be signed by close of tomorrow. First, we'll sign with France, and the second will sign with another country yet to be confirmed. Mr. Speaker, on the commercial debt restructuring, we have signed non-disclosure agreement, NDAs, with some commercial lenders, in line with the government's strong commitment to honoring its debt obligation. We have made 2 debt service payments of about $700 million to our Eurobond holders. Mr. Speaker, on the domestic front, government continues to meet its commitment towards the domestic bondholders. For the first time, for the first half of 2025, a total of 9.8 billion Ghana cedis was paid to coupons to DDEP bondholders, of which 3.6 billion Ghana cedis was capitalized. Right Honorable Speaker, for non-tendered bondholders, government paid a total of 1.1 billion Ghana cedis. This was the outstanding debt service as at 2024. Mr. Speaker, for the second half of 2025, an amount of 10.2 billion Ghana cedis is due as coupon payment on the DDEP bonds and 724.1 million as debt service for the non-tendered bondholders. It is important to note that government remains committed to honoring its debt service obligation, and therefore, we have made sufficient preparation towards the settlement of this debt, and bondholders should not worry, this amount will be paid in due course. Mr. Speaker, priority project under the restructured bilateral debt. Following Ghana's default on its external debt service obligation on the 19th December 2022, creditors halted disbursement of 55 bilateral projects. This resulted in several uncompleted projects dotted across the country, with a massive $3 billion in undisbursed loans. The IMF and Official Creditors Committee annual disbursement ceiling of $250 million for official creditors loan implies that it will take 12 good years to fully draw down on the undisbursed loans. Under the MOU with the Official Creditors Committee, the government of Ghana was required to submit a priority list to accommodate the $250 million annual disbursement ceiling. Right Honorable Speaker, during the presentation of the 2025 budget and economic policy of government, I informed this House that we will engage to resolve this challenge. Following the extensive engagement, government has submitted a priority list of 24 projects to the OCC and the IMF. This is expected to trigger resumption of disbursement for projects on the priority list upon the signing of bilateral agreement between Ghana and the creditor countries. We aim to ensure that all the priority projects are completed and commissioned by end 2028. Mr. Speaker, the priority projects are as follows. We are going to build a new bridge across the Volta River at Volivo. Mr. Speaker, the reconstruction of Tema Aflao Road project, phase 1. Tema motorway runabout through Ashiaman runabout to Atimpoku. The construction of 14 pedestrian bridges, Kumasi roads and drainage extension. Mr. Speaker, Power Grant interchange and the Sekendi Takoradi Township Road, phase 1. Rehabilitation of Domi Ketasi Road, Obichebi Lamte interchange, phase 2. Bogatanga Boko Pomakrom Road, PTC runabout interchange project at Takoradi. Construction of drinking water facilities in Wenchi. Sekendi Takoradi water supply. Modernization of Komfo Anoche Teaching Hospital. Construction of central medical stores in Tema. Efia Nkwanta Regional Hospital in Takoradi. Bogatanga Regional Hospital. Establishment of the University of Environment and Sustainable Development at Bonsu. Establishment of 9 state-of-the-art technical and vocational education training center. And, Mr. Speaker, integrated e-learning laboratories in senior high schools. Mr. Speaker, that's not all. The expansion and development of existing senior high schools, renewable energy program, pilot photovoltaic system, Mr. Speaker, the renewable energy and energy efficiency program, and the construction of Takoradi Market. Mr. Speaker, finally, the Kumasi Central Market, phase 2. Mr. Speaker, the main criterion for the selection of this project was closeness to completion. As a result, projects which were over 70% complete were given priority. The resumption of disbursement for the project and its associated debt service are fully in line with our commitment under the bilateral debt restructuring and IMF program. Right, Honorable Speaker, there's no room for an increase in scope for any of the projects on the priority list as agreed upon at the IMF and the OCC. Implementing agencies must take note and comply accordingly. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, there is no room for any increase in scope for work for any of the projects on the priority list agreed upon with the IMF and the Official Creditors Committee. Implementing agencies must take note and comply accordingly. Mr. Speaker, it has come to the attention of the Ministry of Finance that a number of contractors implementing some of these 55 stalled projects have drawn down on the loans with no work done to match the amount drawn down. Mr. Speaker, sadly, it has come to the attention of the Ministry of Finance that a number of contractors implementing some of these 55 projects have drawn down on the loans with no work done to match the amount drawn down. Again, some contractors have submitted additional costs in excess of what Parliament approved. The Ministry of Finance has accordingly commissioned a forensic audit into this project. Mr. Speaker, we will apprise the House when this audit is completed. And Mr. Speaker, for emphasis, the Auditor General is the one doing this forensic audit in partnership with some of the Big Four. Update on sinking fund. Mr. Speaker, in the 2025 budget statement, government announced that it will commence the operationalization of Section 37 to 44 of the Public Financial Management Act, Act 921, as amended, to build sufficient buffers in the sinking fund for prompt redemption of specified loans obligations of government. Mr. Speaker, government has set up a CD sinking fund account and US dollar sinking fund account. Beginning August 2025, the Ministry of Finance will commence the building of cash buffers to support the repayment of Ghana's domestic debt service obligation relating to the domestic debt exchange program bonds, which will fall due in the year 2027, 2028, and even 2026. Mr. Speaker, the CD sinking fund will specifically target the redemption and debt service harms in 2026 of 20 billion Ghana cedis for the year 2026, 50.3 billion Ghana cedis for the year 2027, and 45.75 billion Ghana cedis for the year 2025. Similarly, the US dollar sinking fund account will also target Eurobond redemption, which will fall due from 2026 of 1.45 billion US dollars, 1.17 billion US dollars in 2027, and 1.14 billion US dollars in the year 2028. Mr. Speaker, the implementation of the sinking fund will provide a reliable buffers that ensures timely and predictable redemption of this designated public debt obligation. This structured approach to debt service will enhance investor confidence and contribute to long-term debt sustainability of our dear country. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to Government of Ghana's liability management operations. Mr. Speaker, government has begun an implementation of an effective and efficient liability management program to reduce embedded risk on debt portfolio. Our liability management operation will, 1, reduce debt service costs and mitigate refinancing or rollover risk, extend maturities to alleviate near-term financing pressures. Mr. Speaker, to optimize the debt portfolio by rebalancing the mix of short-term versus long-term instruments and strengthen market confidence. Under our liability management operations, Mr. Speaker, we will analyze the domestic bond market to assess suitability for bonds buybacks. We will carefully sequence issuance of benchmark securities and prioritize longer dated tenor to establish a stable yield curve. Mr. Speaker, I take you to primary dealers and bond market specialist system as we inherited. Mr. Speaker, our debt management strategy is to use treasury bills for cash management purposes only. We intend to reopen the domestic bond market to finance the budget deficit. The reopening of the domestic bond market will aim at creating a more competitive primary market that can deliver the volume and pricing to enable the government lower its borrowing costs. So, Speaker, beginning August 2025, we will commence the selection of new book runners to assist government in the reopening of the domestic bond market. Mr. Speaker, for emphasis, beginning 2025 August, the government of Ghana will commence the selection of new book runners to assist government in the reopening of the domestic bond market. Mr. Speaker, the selection of book runners will focus on banks and investment dealers with the ability to achieve a wider market distribution and advice on pricing and structuring. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to revised macroeconomic framework. Mr. Speaker, macroeconomic target. Economic development in the first half of the year do not warrant a revision to the macroeconomic target and the appropriations bill. Mr. Speaker, I am not asking for additional money from the Appropriations Act. We maintain the following macroeconomic target for 2025. 1, overall GDP growth at least 4.0%. At least. Non-oil GDP growth of at least 4.8%. End-year inflation rate of 11.9%. Primary balance on commitment basis at a surplus of 1.5% of GDP. And gross international reserves covering not less than 3 months of import. Mr. Speaker, although we have made significant progress, we are cautiously optimistic. Right, Honorable Speaker, despite maintaining our macroeconomic target for 2025, including the primary balance on commitment basis of a surplus of 1.5% of GDP, we are revising both revenue and expenditure projections to reflect the impact of the additional revenue from the Energy Sector Levies Amendment Bill Amendment Act 2025, Act 1141. Revisions to revenue. Right Honorable Speaker, as a result, total revenue and grant has been revised upwards from the 2025 budget target of 227.1 billion to 229.9 billion, or from 16.2% of GDP to 16.4% of GDP. This represents a nominal increase of 1.3%. Mr. Speaker, the additional revenue of 2.9 billion Ghana cedis will come from the increase in revenues from the amendment to the Energy Sector Levies Act. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to revisions to expenditures. Mr. Speaker, total expenditure on commitment basis has been revised downwards from 269.5 billion from the original budget projection of 270.9 billion Ghana cedis. However, primary expenditures has been revised upwards to 209.6 billion from the original budget projection of 206.8 billion Ghana cedis. This upward adjustment reflects an increase in the allocation to support energy sector payment. Mr. Speaker, interest payments have been revised downwards by 4.3 billion Ghana cedis from the original budget projection of 64.1 billion to 59.9 billion cedis. Right Honorable Speaker, domestic interest has been revised downwards by 5.1 billion Ghana cedis, mainly on account of gains from the reduction in the treasury bill rate as a result of the implementation of our prudent debt management policies. However, external interest payments have been revised upwards by 795 million to make additional provision for debt service due on post-cutoff date disbursement made by our bilateral creditors since 2023. Mr. Speaker, energy sector payments have also been revised upwards by 2.9 billion Ghana cedis to provision for fuel purchases for power generation. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to overall balance and financing. Right Honorable Speaker, notwithstanding the revisions to revenue and expenditure, the primary balance on commitment basis remains unchanged at a surplus of 1.5% of GDP. Based on the revisions to revenue and expenditure, the following fiscal balance on cash basis improves from a deficit of 4.1% of GDP to 3.8% of GDP. I mean the fiscal balance. The overall fiscal balance on commitment basis improves from a deficit of 3.1% to 2.8%, and the projected annual borrowing needs of government reduced by 4.3 billion Ghana cedis. Simple put, we will be borrowing less by 4.3 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, risk to 2025 budget, risk to the 2025 fiscal framework. Mr. Speaker, despite the robust fiscal performance, there are some underlying risks which pose a threat to the 2025 fiscal framework. The risks are as follows: shortfalls in customs revenue, smuggling of marine gas oil, mounting wage pressures, and pricing and award of contract in foreign currency. The Speaker, I'll take them one by one. Customs revenue. Right Honorable Speaker, customs revenue recorded a significant shortfall of 1.6 billion, even though the overall revenue is doing well, representing 12.7% reduction from the first half of 2025. This performance is attributed to systemic revenue leakage at key customs collection points, particularly the Tema Port and the smuggling of goods across our land borders. Mr. Speaker, these developments pose risk to the attainment of our revenue target for the year 2025. To mitigate these risks, government is implementing the following measures to address the existing operational challenges to safeguard revenue. 1, we will adopt the use of artificial intelligence, AI, to minimize human interference in revenue assessment, supporting the validation of the country of origin, as well as the accuracy of classification and valuation of imported goods. Mr. Speaker, we are rolling out advanced cargo information system to ensure that the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority, GPHA, and the Ghana Revenue Authority, the GRA, receives comprehensive shipment detail at least 24 hours prior to vessel departure from the port of origin. Mr. Speaker, this will enable pre-arrival risk assessment, reduce the need for documentation amendment, and facilitate more accurate and timely duty assessment. We will also be implementing a robust anti-smuggling surveillance program targeting both inland and maritime borders. And to those at Sankase, we are coming after you. Mr. Speaker, reviewing the institutional setup of Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, including staff mobility. Mr. Speaker, let me repeat this. We will be reviewing the institutional setup of Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, including staff mobility, to facilitate the decentralization of customs operations. Mr. Speaker, operational risk assessment to enhance transparency and accountability of staff will be enhanced. Now I will take you to the smuggling of marine gas oil, MGO. Right Honorable Speaker, tax exemptions on marine gas oil was introduced to support non-artisanal fishing fleet operating from Ghana. Over the years, the tax exemptions have created incentive to abuse and smuggling of MGO onto the open market, resulting in revenue losses estimated at nearly $500 million Ghana cedis every year. The government will withdraw the tax exemption to curb smuggling and stem the erosion of tax revenue, thereby reducing the fiscal risk to the 2025 budget. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to wages and salary, which happens to be the third risk to the budget. Right Honorable Speaker, we have seen some significant pressures on the compensation budget for the first half of 2025, mainly emanating from wages and salaries. Wages and salaries exceeded the target by 1.3 billion Ghana cedis for the first 6 months of the year. Mr. Speaker, the wage pressures were largely driven by last-minute recruitment undertaken by the previous MPP administration in the last quarter of 2024, especially in the areas of education, health, and security sector. Mr. Speaker, let me repeat. The wage pressures we are largely seeing are driven by the last-minute recruitment undertaken by the previous government in the last quarter of 2024, especially in areas of education, health, and the security sector. In addition, ad hoc reviews of conditions of service undertaken in previous years have distorted the single spine pay policy and further burdened the public wage. Mr. Speaker, the government is implementing the following measures to address this challenge. Number one, we'll conduct regular nationwide staff payroll audit to sanitize the payroll. Mr. Speaker, we'll be realigning all staff from overstaffed areas and defunct MDAs to areas with critical staffing needs. Right Honorable Speaker, we'll finalize the process for the establishment of the Independent Emolument Committee as part of the broader effort to reform and reset public sector pay. And finally, we will issue an executive directive mandating all MDAs to seek approval from the Minister of Finance or the Ministry of Finance before making any commitment with financial implications on the payroll. Mr. Speaker, pricing and award of contract in foreign currency. Pricing and award of contract in foreign currency. Mr. Speaker, pricing of goods and services and award of contract in foreign currency pose significant risk to fiscal management, with severe implications for the stability of our Ghana city. Unfortunately, foreign currencies are becoming the means of transacting business in Ghana. This trend, if not checked, will erode the confidence in our currency, drive inflation, and result in the loss of value in the symbol of our sovereignty. Mr. Speaker, to curb this unfortunate development, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has directed that beginning today, 24th of July 2025, No contract awarded by government, irrespective of source of fund, should be denominated in foreign currency. Right, Honorable Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker. To curb this unfortunate development, President John Dramani Mahama has directed that beginning today, 24th of July 2025, no contract awarded by government, irrespective of source of funding, should be denominated in foreign currency. Mr. Speaker, we also want to use this opportunity to remind the public that per the Foreign Exchange Act 2006, Act 723, companies, institutions, and individuals are prohibited from pricing, advertising, receipting, or making payment for goods and services in foreign currencies in Ghana without prior written approval from the Bank of Ghana. Right, Honorable Speaker, I will take you to key policy initiatives. Mr. Speaker, I now present updates on key policy initiatives outlined in the 2025 budget. Right, Honorable Speaker, since its establishment in April 2025, the Ghana Gold Board has initiated reforms to licensing regime that governs the local gold trading sector and introduced new aggregation system to effectively mop up gold from artisanal small-scale mining sector across the country. These measures have already yielded tangible economic benefits within the short period of operation of the Ghana Gold Board. In the first half of 2025 alone, gold export from the small-scale sector stood at 51.5 tons with an export value of approximately $5 billion. This figure far exceeds the 26.4 tons which are with an export value of $1.8 billion from the small-scale mining sector over the same period in 2024. Mr. Speaker, simple put, gold export in tons from the small-scale mining sector for the first half of 2025 recorded about 100% increase over what was recorded in the year 2024. Similarly, the value of gold export from small-scale mining increased by about 180% for the first half of 2025 over that of the same period in 2024. Mr. Speaker, for the first time in Ghana's history, gold export from small-scale mining sector have exceeded gold export from large-scale sector. Mr. Speaker, the substantial foreign exchange inflows from the gold board operations in the artisanal small-scale mining sector have significantly strengthened our reserves, improved our balance of payment, and provided critical support for the Ghana city. Mr. Speaker, this tells a story of a country which has been denied the full benefit of its gold resources, a story of a country where illegal gold trade and smuggling have been allowed to fester to the detriment of the well-being of the people. Right, Honorable Speaker. On the 8th of July 2025, His Excellency President John Mahama inaugurated a task force to tackle illegal gold trade and smuggling. I also want to use this opportunity as the Sector Minister to reiterate that the government of President Mahama would deal ruthlessly with anyone found engaging in illegal trade and smuggling, as these nation-wrecking activities sabotage the progress of our country. Mr. Speaker, I also want to reiterate the point that no one should come to us and beg because we will not spare you. Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program deserves some update. Mr. Speaker, earlier this month, President Mahama officially launched the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program, Ghana's ambitious and integrated strategy to boost production, create sustainable jobs, and modernize our economy. The 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program represent a national reset aimed at reducing import dependence, expanding domestic production, improving market access, and building a competitive, skilled workforce for a dynamic economy. Right, Honorable Speaker, the anchor of the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program is the Volta Economic Corridor, a transformational project to unlock the vast economic and environmental potential of the Volta Lake and its surrounding lands. Mr. Speaker, the Volta Economic Corridor revives and expands on Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's original vision of the Volta project as a hub for agro-industry, trade and transport, now reimagined to fit today's economic reality and regional opportunities. Mr. Speaker, the Volta Economic Corridor will be executed through the following pillars of the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program. Right Honorable Speaker, Grow 24 will irrigate 2 million hectares of farmlands for year-round farming instead of the traditional seasonal farming. Right Honorable Speaker, Make 24 will establish agro-industrial parks for textiles, pharmaceuticals, and food processing. The Speaker, Show 24 will develop tourism clusters and hospitality hubs along the Volta Lake. And Connect 24 will turn the lake into a major inland transport route, cutting haulage costs and linking northern, southern, eastern, and western Ghana. Mr. Speaker, to support this transformative program, the Ministry of Finance will, in the 2026 budget, outline targeted incentives for the Volta Economic Corridor. These measures will be carefully designed to attract private capital, drive enterprise growth, and create decent, well-paying jobs. The Speaker, for emphasis, the Ministry of Finance will, as part of the 2026 budget, outline a targeted incentive for the Volta Economic Corridor. Right Honorable Speaker, the government will only facilitate and not dominate this ambitious growth goal. The Speaker, I now take you to the big push. Right Honorable Speaker, as part of the 2025 budget, we announced the commencement of the Big Push program, a flagship initiative of President John Dramani Mahama for massive infrastructure development. Since then, the President has dedicated all Big Push budgetary allocation for the next 2 years. Mr. Speaker, and I mean all Big Push allocation for the next 2 years to improve road infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, you may recall that Parliament approved that all oil revenue and mineral royalties accrued to the budget were dedicated to the Big Push. As a result, an amount of 13.8 billion Ghana cedis was allocated in the 2025 budget for the Big Push program to be used for road infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Roads and Highways has spent the last 6 months of his time in office touring the whole country to assess firsthand the state of our roads. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Roads and Highways has undertaken studies and prepared comprehensive engineering interventions and cost estimate for roads projects across the country for the Big Push program. Right Honorable Speaker,